Hello viewers, we warmly welcome you to our Wapadela live show for today, which has been always brought to you by ETHEL Multipurpose Zambia, together with Litovia TV, your favorite TV station. And I'm your host, usual host, Brian Kachiza, not forgetting that I'm proudly deaf, being assisted by the sign language interpreter, Blessing Sokauta. Viewers, note that this program is available for sponsorship. For more information and details, you can call us on 0974 75 8855. 0974 75 8855 is the number that you can call us on. And note that this program focuses much on the challenges and the triumphs that persons with disabilities and people without disabilities face, and making sure that they we bridge the gap between the two communities of the disability and the without disabilities. So therefore, we encourage everyone, all of you viewers, to have your full participation on this program. What is our today's theme? We have an interesting theme for today: mental health versus disability. So I want to discuss about how mental health can be related to disability. And to discuss this program, I have my interesting viewers, guests which I would like to welcome. You are most welcome. You may introduce yourself. We start with Mr. KAFWIMBI and where you are coming from.
Okay. I don't even know which one my camera is, but how are you? Okay, all right. So my name is Kuba Kanyanta KAFWIMBI, and I'm working with PsyChealth Zambia. I'm a psychologist by profession, and I offer psychotherapy treatment. Okay, obviously that means I'm a doctor who handles people's thinking and help people figure out challenges based on what they are experiencing physically. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Musonda there?
Yes, good afternoon viewers, and good afternoon to you as well, Brian, my namesake. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Just like my colleague has introduced himself, I'm also, there are three hats that I wear. The first one being that I'm a member of the Zambia National Association of the partially sighted. It entails that as you've seen, I've got specs on me. I've got low vision, condition called retinitis pigmentosa, which is progressive. I started wearing specs when I was only 5, but it has progressed and it's quite advanced. Secondly, a managing partner of Smart Art Solutions. This is also a disabled persons organization, and it bridges two gaps for the visually impaired and the non-visually impaired. What we do there is that we offer rehabilitation, psychosocial skills, as well as entrepreneurship skills to people with disabilities and other people who would wish to have that done for them. Then the third one is that I'm an educationist, yeah, by profession. So that is basically who Brian is. I'm very proud to be and beautifully, wonderfully made as I am.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. And I can tell you that you are most welcome on this program. And feel free to have full participation of it all. So we can start with you, Mr. Musonda. Yeah. What are the many challenges that persons with disabilities you've seen have been facing throughout?
Yes, challenges are numerous. First of all, when we look at socialization of a human being, we start in the home. Those are the agents of socialization. The home, we have the school setting, or is it the education place, then we have society. So when we look at the home, first of all, there's an aspect of some parents not accepting that one is disabled, they've got a disability. They start hiding their children from a very tender age. Secondly, there are aspects of them not even accepting that they have a disabled child. Because of that, you have marriages breaking to say, me, I've got nothing to do with you. You find women being abandoned, the children being abandoned. So that's another aspect. Then thirdly, in the home again, when you look at married couples, for example, one would be married to you as a person with a disability, then later on in life, they decide to U-turn and change and walk out on you. So you find marriages breaking down because of failure to accept that this is a situation and I've got to live with this person and accept them for who they are. When you come to the school setting, being an academician as well as going into issues of technology and science, you find a situation where if you look at the Disability Act number 6 of 2012, you find that there's an issue of accessibility, there's an issue of inclusion and the mainstreaming of all the things pertaining to people with disabilities. Those things are actually really not there. You find that inclusion in terms of, you're talking of inclusive education, you find that in these schools, what facilities are there? To zero in, especially for the visually impaired, you find that very few people have access to, for example, Braille being provided at ECE level, early childhood level, primary level. It's not there. You don't have large print books. Even the teachers now who are offering the same education. For example, I've seen you, Brian, yes, you've got a sign language interpreter here. But those that are hearing impaired in schools, how many teachers are able to actually help a person with a disability vis-a-vis hearing impairedness or visual impairedness? I've just given these as examples of the different categories of disability. When you come to the employment sector, you find that in terms of persons with disabilities being accepted for who they are, you find a situation where, say, is this person able to do this? For example, apart from being an educationist, I'm into IT, ICTs. You find, are you able to do it? Why? Instead of first looking at my capability and not looking at the inhibitor, meaning that there's already a line drawn to say, this person, if we were to give him, for example, employment, he will be a hindrance to our development. He won't be able to perform like the other person. Taking the UNCRPD, that is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability, into the Act number 6 of 2012, and even operationalizing it to go into the mainstream in terms of all the government ministries adopting that and accepting that they're disabled persons and we've got to make the environment right. I think we're getting there. Yeah.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much. And how has that affected the disability community when you mentally, so to say?
Yes. When you look at issues of discrimination, you feel your self-esteem being eroded. First of all, for those that haven't accepted this situation, they're affected mentally, capable of doing, they stop doing. For those that, for example, are in relationships, and because this other person wants to take advantage of the disability of that other person, there will be others who resort to violence, others will resort to issues of even taking drugs so that they just cover up, but which is in fact not from a person living with a disability and having experienced this. Mentally, you have to accept the situation. If you don't accept the situation, others, they even go into depression and all those things. Others even end up taking their own lives because they feel and think, I'm not accepted by society. Young ones, you would find that they are always being hidden in the homes, and psychologically, they say, but why am I being treated like this? If they've got siblings who are not disabled, they will start thinking, say, oh.
Thank you so much, Mr. Musonda. For that, now we hear more also from Mr. KAFWIMBI. Yeah. Mr. KAFWIMBI, with your profession, how are mental health cases in Zambia regarding persons with a disability?
Huge challenge, obviously, and it's not easy for people with who are differently impaired or differently abled. I like to say differently abled. Most people say disabled, but I like to say differently abled. Why do I say differently abled? I'll start from there because they also are able to do certain things. It's not like they can't just do anything. They are able to do a number of things. So mental cases with the disabled or differently impaired in Zambia is that, of course, we do know that naturally as a human being, when you have challenges, okay, when you the stigma wrapped around being a person who's differently abled, okay, and ultimately that now obviously affects the psychological space of a differently abled person. Now you can imagine the idea of a person not being able to do certain things or appear in a certain way because of their physical body, okay, and how people see them at the same time. Now that as well, and ultimately the way they perform, okay. So that is to say, obviously we do know that the human mind is like a computer. I like to tell people this, that the human mind is like a computer. Whatever you tell it, it picks up that and processes that information. When the person has a challenge, they begin to pick who is differently abled and, you know, speak bad about them, deny them a job, deny them marriage, deny them all these beautiful things that they could rightfully enjoy. Imagine how that we, the people who are supposed to be helping the differently abled people, are actually making it worse for them and making it really, and so they keep hearing that all the time. So their brain is picking up that every day, and finally they convince themselves to say, no, I can't do IT. Okay, he can't walk, but he's able to do IT. He can't see, but he's able, differently abled, because I'm actually also just campaigning for that. That's, you know, if you imagine somebody says, we need someone to work, okay? And you say, oh, I have someone. The problem is that so and so and so, okay? So already you have placed a kind of like a disqualification on that particular person. But if you say, yes, there's somebody who's differently abled, but they're able to do A, B, C, D, maybe we can try them out, okay? So imagine doing that and, you know, implementing that in different spaces. Imagine how many maybe leading from the space of the differently able, one, addressing them in the most palatable way, in a way that they also get motivated. And two, by considering that they are already in a space of feeling stressed, overly stressed, overwhelmed in a negative way. So by speaking to them as people who are just as human as we are, to the heights where everybody else could get to. I feel that there's a number of people, I'm sure my brother has attended to, who are senior people even in government. I have a few friends in government who are senior people, but they're differently abled. And they're actually even performing better than some able-bodied people. Okay? So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that with mental cases, with regards to different abled people, you find that they face negative continuously negative conditioning of the mind because of the information they keep receiving on a daily basis, every day, being told you can't do this, this one is like this. They will call them names, and they will also, you know, when you use the word disabled, I know it's a general term, but by saying there's a job, but we have someone who's disabled, and that's why we say could be with the legs, but they are able-bodied when it comes, they are able to think. Could be with the eyes, but they are able to walk and do other things. So that if you just generally looking at mental health and differently abled, though I think I'm a bit behind, I don't know if by now a number of things are being implemented, but there's an act that the government has been working on, which has got seemingly different language and different terminologies, just to not kind of like, you know, put that negative kind of mindset on people on how they address the differently abled people. So I think in due time, some of these things will start coming out. And if you ever hear differently abled people, that means somebody who is well disabled or is not able in some way. I think it's usually the better way to even address someone.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Just in addition to what Mr. KAFWIMBI has said, I think it's also important to note that there is positive discrimination and negative discrimination. You could positively discriminate me if, for example, I'm told I'm differently abled, right? Yes, I've got a disability. That's what he's trying to say. We just give you examples of people that have broken through the glass ceiling in terms of disability. Just nearby here, Unza, we've got a lecturer who's visually impaired, totally blind, the Dr. Mtonga. We've got several colleagues. The one who's deputizing at Zamise, vice principal, is totally blind. I'm visually impaired, but I'm in the media just like the way you're doing, Brian, here. I've been in radio. Someone would think, so you have to be able to do it. So don't I have a positive discrimination or negative discrimination that people put towards I'm learning to speak like what Mr. KAFWIMBI here is saying, differently abled, because disability is not inability, but ability to do something. It just enhanced my space. Even better than the one who's got these big eyes which can see properly, but they are not able to do it. It's just the atmosphere and the facilities expressed yesterday. To start asking, for example, to say, so this is Braille, the print version, to just verify as to whether this person is able to do it. So from the top there, if we get rid of this positive discrimination, I think we're making that, I'm a lesser person than this other person. For abled, hearing impaired, visually impaired, mentally challenged, all those things. But if you make the atmosphere perfect for me, that's why we are advocating, because that is law. And law, we cannot run away from it. Government says, no, we are a government of laws and not of men. So let it do its part, and then even the Mental Users Act, those things, we work on them. I believe we will level the playing field.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the fire. Any cause, and how best do you think we can do to address such issues?
Okay. So the main cause when it comes to differently impaired people, one of the causes, well, I'm speaking from a psychological perspective, from the mind, is the way we address the abled person maybe can't do this. We are already drawing conclusions before we could actually sit down, talk to that person, or maybe get to understand a few things from that person and then know what their strongholds are before we could just conclude on the negatives. Because obviously for us to even come into contact with them and see them and reach them, there must be something going on with them that is enabling them to be where they are. So the first thing is how we address them. Number one, it affects either in a positive or in a negative way. Then number two, which should have been first, is we need to start educating ourselves in understanding the differently abled community. What goes on? What are some of the things that are there that we can learn also from these people? Because the able-bodied actually have come to appreciate life and appreciate other things in life much more better. In fact, I think Mr. is like, yes, they know how to, in fact, let me just say, they can teach you gratitude, to be grateful of what you are able to do. Now imagine you are able-bodied, fully able-bodied, and then you have friends or people that you know who are differently abled. You start educating yourself, taking interest, understanding that community or that space to say what really goes on and how can I be of best, do good to this community. Now, this also has to go, I would just appeal to the higher powers to say that these are projects that we are supposed to be engaging in, to say how can we brainstorm on this project or this program or this issue in order to do what? To better benefit the differently abled people and the whole country at large. Because one thing you should know is that even differently abled people do what? They vote. Okay? They participate in enough times. You're going to need either their expertise or either their vote or whatever it is that they're coming with. Besides, who knows if the next president will come from somebody who's differently abled, So those are the two major things that we really, really need
to consider as a whole, one Zambia, one nation. We need to practice that through that, and that's how you can maybe say help the differently abled community or differently abled people to also rise above and to perform just as equally as everybody else. Then the other part is to strongly intensify and that mental health is the it's actually the beginning of everything, okay? It is in the mind, you think, and then now after you think, you perceive. Then it starts going into, I can now do this. You always have to think first for you to do something. Before you act, usually we program ourselves, we assess, and then we make a move. So it starts from the mind. Even failure, even progress starts from thinking, I can do it. And how the mind works and how it affects the physical body. Then you will begin to see that there could be change and appreciation on how differently abled people are managed and are, given the right respect and the right backup that they rightfully need in society. Yeah, thank you.
Wow, that has been so awesome. Thank you so much for that. And for viewers, keep watching this show as we go for a short break. Okay, welcome back. So we'll continue with you, Mr. Musonda. Yeah, Mr. Musonda, what is it that you as ZNAPS doing to eradicate mental health?
First of all, we are an affiliate to both Zambia National Blind Union as well as Zambia National Federation for the Blind. And when it comes to advocacy, we are not only advocating for the rights of persons in terms of their accessibility, increasing access to facilities, but we are also looking at mental health. We are networking, even with the Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations. We have meetings where we actually expose our members, the associate members, to the information on mental health, how best they can handle situations if they fall into trouble, or how best they can handle their situations if they are not, and referral to the right people. Like, for example, we have Mr. KAFWIMBI here. He's a psychologist. As an association, we have a mandate through our people that we should network. And so by networking, we do that. Then secondly, we also make sure that materials such as documents to do with mental health, information to do with mental, number one, to government. There are so many pieces of legislation which we should simplify for those of us who are less literate in terms of mental health. The mental jargon, the technical jargon, psychological jargon, and whatever our experts here, they make it simpler for us so that we can further move the agenda to have all these things transcribed into Braille, put in audio. For those that cannot read, we even translate into the local language and then make it available. So it's a two-pronged approach. Where as civil society, we should take our place. As government, who is supposed to provide these things, we're supposed to do that. Then again, secondly, I also wish to bring to the fore the aspect of having an extended Bill of Rights. Because if it's a right for me to access health, that includes mental health. Actually, shut down the Bill of Rights to say, if you get this, you are voting for the other side. But actually, we've denied ourselves, because if we made health as a right, government will be taken to task. And secondly, me being a person who's differently able, as has been put across here on this platform, or who's able to do things, are actually making the space very good. I still remember in 2011, when I was at the helm of the Zambia through the committee on social protection and all that, we just went to them on the caucus. We deliberately did it that all of you members of parliament, let us blindfold you. We blindfolded everyone. And then we said, let us now deliberate, and all of you, we want you to do your work here. Then they were all quiet, just for 2 minutes. So I think sometimes it takes, if negotiation fails, lobbying fails, we don't use force, but we use means that will compare.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Musonda, on that one. Now, we would want to hear, as the organization here, what milestones or activities are you so far put in place to show your activities or activeness?
Yes, thank you very much for that question. Just yesterday, as an example, I know we're talking about mental health here, but we're talking about issues of inclusion and accessibility, issues of land rights. It's a very hot-headed. Secondly, if you don't have money, you won't get land. If you don't have information, you're eclipsed. So what we did, like as for yesterday, we had a launch where we actually launched the land policy into Braille, and at that occasion there was the minister herself, Minister of Lands, supported by TIZ. That's just persons with disabilities or persons who are differently abled are suffering from discrimination and all these things. But we are saying that as individuals, we should have access to this information, and it should be made ready to take care of its citizens. And looking at the 8th National Development Plan, let me just say, from the 5th to the 8th National, we've been saying not leaving anyone behind, and we should be inclusive. And this government is saying that moving forward, as we're moving forward, who are you going to leave behind? Because mental disability can happen to anyone, either you, either me, either anyone else, it can happen. So what facilities are we putting in place, first of all? What therapy, for example, or the medication, how many facilities do we have in Zambia? We've only got China, in Ndola, at Ndola Central Hospital there, we've got Chinama, and then the others are private. What about these other places in Zambia? What happens? So those are the questions.
Yes. You being responsible on the issue of psychiatry, yeah. So how are those cases being?
Oh, speak in general. Okay, so I'm level on its own. Okay, so I think counseling for the differently abled people, it's actually very important because they actually need more counseling and therapy because of the state that which they are in and because of their much stigma that they are also able to do a number of things and not be discouraged. Remember, we're still dealing with the people who are the same as us, okay? So they are able to do what? They're able to do a number of things, but because of the way we speak to them, they might be discouraged and do just coping mechanisms, and that is what we would then a home look like, where you have people who are differently abled and who is differently abled but is able to do something. People are the people that you would even say they require therapy and counseling even more, and I feel that this is something that even the government should take very much keen interest in campaigning for, so that these people can equally start having access to certain health cases or mental disorders, so to speak, or challenges in the spaces of people who are differently abled more than the able-bodied, because obviously by design there's a number of things that a differently abled person will require or maybe care, you know, and set access to certain, but for the differently able-bodied person, you'll find that there's a bunch of stuff going on. But it is these things that they are facing, that they are going through, that are inflicting a certain type of negative feeling, and the physical body's therapy is simply healing. With therapy, you go for sessions, you will speak to a therapist, you speak to a counselor, and eventually if you need to see a psychiatrist, you see a psychiatrist. Eventually, you begin to see your worth, you begin to understand mindfulness, maybe if it's to walk, you're able to do certain things, even though you may be we could have had a list of something. Somebody at one point told them to say, you can do it, you can make it. Even some of these musicians, I'll talk about Stevie Wonder, for example. I think Stevie Wonder is something to say. Somebody told him, by the way, to say, you can do it. So even with our brothers and sisters who are in the spaces of being,
that we look at the other flip side of the coin, where we have this person living with a disability or differently abled, being handled in terms of counsel and all.
Exactly.
The parents as well of these children who have been born with this disability now, but in the brain, yes. So now you find a situation where this parent will start hiding this child. This parent will have this burden to say, this is a negative feeling to them. Not only that, they will start hiding the children, denying them access to school, access to play, access to learn as well. So all these things, the parents, the children, who are differently, we call Zambia a better place for us to live.
Yeah. And just to, I know time is going, but just to add one more last thing, I'm actually just complimenting what he is saying. So in my handling of people with mental disorders, and when I say mental disorders, I don't mean mad. You know, there's being mad, where someone is taken and tied to the chains. But also, they naturally get upset quickly because they are already under stress. They are already under that duress of being the way they are. So, as much as I've been counseling and giving therapy to people who are even differently able-bodied, you'll find that not only them, as my brother said, would need that help, but even the people that are around them. But what about the person who's differently able-bodied? Have you also counseled them to have the same language with this other person who's been for therapy? Okay, so you need to counsel the person with the challenge, and also counsel the person who's the caregiver or the person who is around that place. Equally, people around, so that they can begin to speak the same language. Because if you should have given to this person, it would be worthless at the end of the day. So you need to do what? To actually just have everyone come through and begin understanding how to manage themselves and how to see this person as just any other person. We are all born the same way, by the way.
Yes.
There's nobody who comes falling from the sky. No, this one is different because they fell from the... No, we all come from mothers, okay? So basically, I thought that would actually be very, very helpful to take note of.
And then one other aspect said, as a learning point, even from me, is that object permanency, you're a psychologist, it's at 7 years, not so.
Yes, yes.
So once this child is told at an early age to say, you're fearfully and wonderfully made, you're able to do it, they will be able to do it. Examples being, the one who made Zambia very food secure, isn't he on crutches, Dr. KAFWIMBI. We've got a human rights commissioner in the name of Wamundira Warioya. He's there, he's able to do it. Like I mentioned earlier, we've got Dr. Mtonga. I'm there in the ministry, I'm in the media circle, I'm able to do computer. There are others, a barrage of them. So we shouldn't look down upon us. You are part of us, we are part of you. And let's make this world a better place.
How best do you think together as the community we can do to eradicate these issues of mental health?
Good. Very beautiful question, actually. So the issue of mental health and understanding mental health as well as receiving counseling and therapy is not only for a given type of people. Like they say, you know, like the common thing they say, no therapy or what, you go and sit. In fact, therapy was given to us even in the olden days where they would sit pansaka like that. That's why you had the Bachukulide. They start telling you about life and telling you this is wrong and what. And even when the boy was growing and he messes up, the men would call him and they would sit with him. That in itself is counseling and therapy. It's only that now it's been packaged in a different way. Now, there must be we must embrace the fact of going to clinics. In clinics, hospitals, and all these centers, you will find psychologists and counselors, and they offer therapy to every clinic now, and hospital, even other centers, health centers. You will find psychologists there. This time we even have workplaces which have psychologists, psychologists who counsel the people just there at their workplace. So the first thing is we go and try to understand about the differently impaired people or differently able-bodied people through these centers and psychologists, because they understand, they also have information about the well-being of a differently able-bodied person. So that's the first step that we should take. And then we should now learn to do what? To go and spread the news. Because if you spread the news, it becomes much easier as well. And other people who are here at Movie TV, they can give you guidance and you can reach out to the right people who can help out.
Yeah, maybe just very quickly, I know we're running out of time. Just an appeal. The government out there, cooperating partners, all those that are concerned with making this Zambia a better place, will be knocking on your doors. As Zambia National Association for Persons, partially sighted people, we are saying that to the local language, in terms of packaging the materials in audio format, we're able to do that. Very quickly, you can get in touch either with our chairperson, Mr. Nakawachiara, on 0955-253030, 0955-253030, or indeed you can get in touch with me on 0955-808035 or 0964-036655, or email musicile@yahoo.co.uk, musicile@yahoo.co.uk in all small letters. Thank you so much.
For kind participation, and also our guests for making it through on our show for today. Viewers out there, note that we still have some more interesting topics to come, which we'll discuss on later dates on the same period. Please continue to support and come in with this program. And as we said earlier, to say 8855 0974758855 if you want to get more information. Now, on behalf of all the entire product, a blessing, Sokauta. Together we say, see you next week. Same time, same day, and same place. Bye-bye. Much love to you.